Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel people, and on this video I'm going to be taking a look at England's chances at the World Cup 2022 starting this coming Monday in Qatar. Now I want to divide this into a couple of parts people. First, a quick look at the squad that Gareth Southgate announced, the 26 player squad he announced last week, and then move on to discuss how this squad is likely to fare moving into the tournament over the coming weeks. So, the first area is the squad itself. Now, I haven't actually got the list of players written in front of me, but I can pretty much remember them. So, the three goalkeepers, we've got Nick Pope, Aaron Ramsdale, and Jordan Pickford. Now, happy enough with that. No complaints. Obviously, Pickford you would think would be the number one choice for Gareth Southgate. He's never let him down before. He's been immense at the last two tournaments, the World Cup 4 years ago and of course the Euros about 18 months ago. So I'm happy with Pickford in goal. Ramsdale for me is the number two, good with his feet, good distribution. So in a possession-based team, he's a very good outlet to have as your first line of possession in some ways to pick the passes. So really like Aaron Ramsdale, and Nick Pope is very solid as a third choice. The defence, so it was Maguire, Stones, Eric Dyer, Connor Cody were the main four centre-backs. Ben White is a centre-back / right-back that you could include in any number of positions. Then there's Trippier, Alexander-Arnold, Walker as the right back options, and Luke Shaw as the left back. Now, for me, that's the biggest concern. If I was picking a squad, if I picked my squad, I would have included a backup left back to Luke Shaw. I just feel like with Luke Shaw as the only naturally left-footed defensive-minded player in that back line, if he were to get injured or if he wasn't in form, it would leave the replacements just not able to do the same job he can do. So as a result, England would have to reshuffle the defence and it might look a little bit unbalanced. So that's the only area of concern I have with the defence. Apart from that, fairly satisfied with it. Moving into the midfield, Mason Mount, James Maddison as your more attacking midfield options, and Conor Gallagher. So those three guys. And then maybe the more deeper midfielders, or those that can play box to box. You've got Jude Bellingham, Calvin Phillips, Jordan Henderson, Declan Rice. So again, happy enough with those. I think the biggest noteworthy part of this was James Maddison getting picked. Now for me, this is huge. This is a very important step that Gareth Southgate has made. So Maddison hasn't been selected for an England squad in 3 years. His last one was November 2019. So it's been a long time in coming, and it's fully deserved. Maddison's been knocking on the door. I read a stat that in 2022, across the whole Premier League, he is third highest for goal contributions across the whole league. So that's assists and goals combined total. So really just reward for Maddison off the back of what's been a consistent run of form for his club Leicester, who aren't one of the big fish in the Premier League. So really happy to see Maddison there. And honestly, I hope it's not just a tokenistic gesture from Southgate to put him in the squad. I hope he utilises Maddison, because I think Maddison could be that difference maker. We often see England teams fall into this uncreative mode where they're just playing it around at a very flat tempo and they don't look very threatening or incisive with their passing. I think Maddison can be that guy who can unlock defences with clever passes. He's got an eye for a goal. Very intelligent player. I think he'll link well with the attacking players, so I'm really happy with that selection. Moving into the front line, so Harry Kane and Callum Wilson are your more natural number 9s. Off the left, you could play any number of Marcus Rashford, Raheem Sterling, Phil Foden. And then there's Bukayo Saka as another option. I think I've mentioned all the players there. Jack Grealish would be the other one. So I think I've covered all 26. I apologise if I have missed anyone's name there. But yeah, for me, this is a well-balanced squad. I think it's got most of the ingredients you need. In that front line, you've got pace and ability to carry the ball forward, so to make forward runs either with or without the ball. You've got that with Sterling, Saka, Marcus Rashford. You've got your more ball playing, eye for a pass playmaker in Jack Grealish, and you've got your goal poachers in Callum Wilson and Harry Kane. Of course, you would think Harry Kane would be the preferred option there. And Phil Foden, who's kind of a mixture between your ball carrying player, but also with your ability to link the play with passing as well. So I'm really happy with the balance of the squad. I think in terms of England's chances of winning, I wouldn't say they're completely without a hope of winning. I think there's definitely some cause for optimism. I think Gareth Southgate's shown in the past an ability to navigate through a tournament. I think he's quite a methodical thinker. He's quite good at keeping a nice energy and spirit and togetherness within the squad. So I think that's very important at these tournaments, because you're away from home for 5-6 weeks, living together on these various camps where you'll travel from region to region for the tournament. And I think that togetherness and harmony is an essential ingredient. And that's where I feel Southgate's qualities maybe are better highlighted at a tournament situation. So in these friendly matches where we've seen England not perform very well, in these kind of isolated matches where it's interspersed in the domestic calendar, you'll have these occasional international matches. I don't think we see the best of Southgate's England, because I think Southgate's the kind of manager who enjoys cultivating a feeling of familiarity and friendship within a group, and that's best served, and you're going to see the fruits of that the most in a tournament environment, which is, I think, why England have done their best under Southgate at tournaments. So the World Cup semi-final and the Euros final being the most noteworthy of those. So that is something I would say about England's chances. I think there's a very strong core, a very strong team spirit. And yeah, I just think that that is the most important element. Of course, handling pressure comes as part of it as well. And I think England have shown again under Southgate they have that ability to hold their nerve in key situations. So they won a penalty shootout against Colombia at the last World Cup. They obviously did enough in certain knockout games to get to the semi-final of the World Cup that same year, and they got through 3 rounds of knockouts at the Euros. So they can rise to the big occasion. I think the biggest test for Southgate's England is how they handle the crunch matches. And of course, this is a little bit of a elusive term, because the idea of a crunch match is going to change depending on how far you get. So if you get knocked out in the group stage, one of the group stage matches was the crunch match. If you make it to the quarterfinals and lose, it's the quarterfinal game that was the crunch match. So it's a little bit unfair to continually move the goalposts about what a big match is. But I think just on that topic, in essence, they're all big matches, but I guess how I would define it is in a match where maybe it's getting a little bit tight, like 50-50, and the other team are putting England under pressure, or there's a tactical shift in the sense that another team has established control of the match and England are having to play at the rhythm of another team. How does Southgate adjust his tactics to regain a sense of control within a match? I think that's something England need to look at, and that's why it's good that we've got options off the bench in the form of the attacking options. James Maddison I mentioned. Obviously, depending on who he puts in his first 11, you're going to have game changers coming off the bench, whether it's Jack Grealish, Bukayo Saka, Raheem Sterling, Phil Foden. Those guys are all going to be important difference makers. Rashford as well. So yeah, that's my feeling, people. In terms of how I see the tournament unraveling, I would say England will get out of this group. I would be fairly sure they will progress from their group. So they're in a pool with Iran, Wales and the United States. So if they get through that, I believe they're paired with Group A, which is Ecuador, from memory, Ecuador, Qatar. Let me just check actually, guys, I've got it here. Yeah, it's Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands. So they could play one of those four in the last 16. And I think beyond that, obviously, there's going to be teams like France, Brazil, Argentina. Now, I think when we're thinking about three teams who are probably ahead of England in terms of quality and superstardom, if you will, these big time players, I would say that Brazil, France, and Argentina possibly slightly ahead of England in those areas. So I think England need to play on this team spirit and tactical cohesion angle to potentially catch out one of those teams, because we've seen in the past maybe there's always an upset at a tournament. You never know, the draw could open up and England may miss out on one of those teams until the semi-final, and then all of a sudden the pressure of that moment might equalise the odds in some respect. So yeah, match at a time. And I think this is another element that I like with Southgate, people. He is very grounded. He won't allow people to get ahead of themselves. It'll be very much focusing on each match as they come, trying to insulate the players from the media pressure and enabling them to feel comfortable enough to thrive. I think he'll look to establish quite a nice relationship with the press as well, with the media. Yeah, so we'll see, people. I'm quietly hopeful that England can at least get to a quarter-final, and then we'll see beyond that. Okay, people, let me know your thoughts. How are England going to do at this tournament? And are you happy with the squad? Is the squad good enough? So who would you like to have potentially seen? I mentioned in my previous video that maybe Ivan Toney was one unlucky person to miss out. Maybe Fikayo Tomori, the AC Milan defender. Maybe Mark Guehi at Crystal Palace. You can maybe list a few people who could have made this squad and could have added to it. But generally speaking, personally, I think it's a reasonable squad. Be interested to hear your thoughts, and also how will England fare at this tournament? I mean, I'll do another video, people, previewing the other teams as well. Those especially that I know the most about in amongst the list of favourites. But I'm interested to hear how you think England will go in relation to the other big teams in the tournament. Okay, people, love the interaction, love the communication. Let's keep it coming throughout this tournament and generally as well. All right, guys, peace.